Let glory shine. From the ashes I rise. Every scar a story, every tear baptized. This is my freedom, this is my climb. Let glory shine, it's the power inside.
Hello and welcome back to Let Glory Shine. I'm your host, Martha Glory, and I'm so glad to be here for another episode of Let Glory Shine. Today we have a couple. This is the first time I've had the blessing and opportunity to interview a couple. And so I'm really looking forward to it. And I can't wait for you to get to know this fantastic couple that I got to meet a few months ago at a conference that I went to in Dallas, Texas, Surrender to Rise with Elena Rodriguez. And it was just an instantaneous connection when I met these two. They radiate light, they radiate love, and their walk with the Lord is precious and inspiring. And so I knew that I needed to have them on the show. So I would like to introduce to you Moises and Bree Rico. Hi, guys.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Like I said, what a blessing to have gotten to meet you in Dallas. And when I first saw you, I saw your light before I saw you guys. And I know that that's light attracts light connection, attracts connection. You guys probably feel that too as you walk through life. Like there's certain people that are connected that we feel drawn to or we feel connected with. And I always say there's no coincidences. There's no happenstance, right? Like God crosses our paths with other people when we need them to cross our paths for a reason, for a growth, for a lesson, for something, right? And so when I got the pleasure of meeting you guys, I was like, this is like a younger version of me, Bree. Like,
Oh, God knew exactly what he was doing with that event because it was literally like he was putting all of these people together for a reason, and that's exactly how I felt. I was like, okay, I'm never letting go of these people ever. They will be in my life forever.
Yeah. And, that's also when we surrender, right? When we surrender to our mission, to our purpose, to our vision that the Lord has put on our heart, that God has put on our heart, like you will meet paths with other like-minded individuals because it's not by mistake. It's not by happenstance. And so I want you to explain to my audience, what is your mission, your vision? What has God called you to do in this part of your life, this season of your life? Because it's been growing and it's beautiful to get to watch.
Our mission, to put it in a few words, is to make marriages great again. And the reason behind the mission is we all came from a relationship. We literally would not be here if there was no relationship prior to us. We all came from a mom and a dad who came together, right? And whether they had a relationship or not, that relationship affected us in many ways that we have no idea. And we believe that has transpired in the increase of so many devastating things like suicide, depression, people being medicated, all these things that are transpiring nowadays that we see all over the world. And we believe that the common denominator that we all have is that we came from a relationship. So, hey, maybe the fix, quote unquote, of all this is to improve relationships so that the future generations that come along, they have better lives because they saw what a healthy marriage between a man and a woman was. And that was fruitful to them, and they repeated it over time and generationally as well. That is essentially kind of like our mission. We just see the number of fatherless homes. Yeah. I grew up in a fatherless home, and I saw the impact it had on me. We came from broken homes as well, single mom homes, and it was just devastating what that is. And we want to make relationships great again because they're fun. They're the best thing ever. I don't know where I would be. I'm sure I would have been one of those cases lost out there in the world. More than likely a father with 3 baby mamas and all that stuff, following what everybody is doing.
3 baby mamas. I'm glad I
But
saved that
God,
part.
right? But God,
God
thank you for the
intervened. Yes,
intervention,
definitely.
God,
He
right?
gave me direction. Yes.
Yes. And
Yeah,
gave
God
you
was like,
Bree.
no, not that way, buddy. Let's go this way.
So Bree, why don't you put in your words, like, how do you share this with your husband? Like, I've gotten to watch you on social media over the last couple of months, and your Summer of Love series was so much fun for me to watch. And I'm not yet in a relationship, but I did go through divorce. I have been married. I was married for 15 years. And I was like, if I just knew then, like, right? Like, but I didn't, and that's okay. My next marriage will be great, and because now I know, right? So Bree, tell me what this means to you to be part of this with your spouse. How cool.
Man, it's a calling that I didn't want to answer for the longest time, that I was like, absolutely not, God. Nope. I will stay in the shadows forever. But we kind of started because he actually started first trying to help the side of the men with this whole relationships and mental health and stuff. So he started doing that a few years ago, and we realized that it needed to be a couple thing because yeah, like you can heal individually, but we noticed that as we did it together, it just created much more impact. It just brought much more healing. Like he says it's fun because we're literally best friends.
Mhm.
Like there is nothing that I don't tell my husband, and I have friends and I don't share everything with them. Like
Right.
somebody once told me like a woman takes her secrets to the grave. And I didn't understand that because I was like, I literally told my husband all my secrets. Like
Right.
the ugliest parts of me that I was so ashamed of, I told him, and he didn't judge me. He wasn't like, attacking. He wasn't like anything. He was just a space. He created a space of like love and support that I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never had this before. So, at Surrender to Rise, having all of you guys and obviously him, I was like, you know what? This is a time where couples need this. And not just couples, but divorced, people, single people, because they don't know that like having a best friend to do life with is it's the most beautiful thing. Like I love my children and they will always be my children, but my best friend, like I can't describe it. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But Summer of Love like just showed it all. Like that was our daily life. Like it wasn't even us like being like, "Oh, we got to do this for the camera." I was like, we would just do it and we're like, oh, we didn't record it. Okay, next one. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll record the next one. It's fine. And like, we would remember because it wasn't just one thing a day. It was like several, like little things that we would do for each other. So the recording was the hardest part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I took away from it is this was, like you said, this wasn't for the camera. This is how you guys live. This has become who you are. And that is so important, right? Like I talk about trauma and I talk about healing all the time. But on my journey, like I didn't have to keep reminding people that I was healing because it became who I was. It became how I show up. It became how I talk and communicate with others. It became what my relationship was with God and how that was growing and changing and maturing, right? It just became who I was. So I didn't have to wave a flag saying, I'm healing, guys, right? You
Yeah.
don't need to. And I see the same thing with you guys is you don't have to like put on the show or to create something that's not organic or authentic because it's just who you are, which is so beautiful. So I want to thank you for that. Bree, you said something that really touched me, and it's so true. And I don't know that I've heard it quite in that way, but as women, it takes, especially grown women, right? Like I'm 46. It's
And you
very
look
hard.
25.
Thank you. But it takes a lot for us to take down all of our walls and to become vulnerable with anybody, right? And my best friend is a female who we've known each other for 35 years, right? And I wouldn't say that I tell her everything, but I tell her almost everything. We've grown up together, right? Like she was the first person that I became painfully honest with about my horrific experiences within the cult. But then when I did get married, I did open up to him, but there were certain things that I knew would hurt him so badly, knowing that they happened to me, that he wouldn't be able to carry it, right? And so I never was able to open up to him about that. But I understand the need to be able to have that space held. And now that I've been on my healing journey, I understand it even in a deeper way of understanding if I can't be held in that space for the things that I've experienced, then there's something wrong in the relationship, right? Do you resonate?
It makes so much sense because like those are things that I know he would kind of get a feeling of. When I first told him about my child abuse, we hadn't talked about it ever, and all he did was like, "Hey, did something happen to you?" Because he knew that something was going on, and we were already married, we already had like two kids. So it wasn't even at the beginning of a relationship, it was years of him noticing, okay, something's going on because she acts a certain way at times. So it was him asking and holding that space. And then there was another time in our marriage where we kind of did a confession, and we haven't talked about this ever on any podcast or anything, but we did a confession where he first told me about his porn addiction. And it was hard because he knew that I couldn't hold a space for him. But he's like, I have to tell you. Like, I know that it's going to be hard. I know you're gonna be heartbroken. And I was like, there was days that I didn't even want to wake up. And I was like, I think it's my turn. And then I had to tell him, other things that happened within the relationship and stuff. And that just created way more connection because after that, like those confessions, our relationship just flourished after that, right?
Yep. Yeah, after.
Because there's no longer secrets, right? There's no longer harboring of something that you're holding, right? Because when we hide something, we are carrying a weight. When we are lying about something or being untruthful or just not being able to expose or verbalize, we're carrying a weight, right? We're carrying a weight, and he clearly noticed that weight that you were carrying, Bree, and he had the skills to be able to ask in a kind, gentle way to be able to allow you to share. How did you know to do that, Moises? Like, how do you know that?
First off is, of course, noticing, being curious about your spouse. A lot of people in relationships are critical. They're just like, how come you're this way? You need to stop doing that. I don't know how you're going to stop doing that. I don't know what's going on, but you need to figure it out, kind of thing.
Right.
I became curious, and through that curiosity, probably scrolling through social media, I found another couple who kind of offers the same services that we do. And in one of those, it had to do with intimacy. And that's where I kind of noticed the struggle within her. And in that, I think it was kind of like one of those free webinars, seminars kind of thing. And they discussed their past and something happening in their past that it's now interfering with their present intimacy. And it was one of those where I knew it was going to be a tough conversation. I didn't know exactly what happened, but I kind of set the environment for her to feel safe enough to kind of open up. Meaning, the kids were with babysitter. It was just us two, simple dinner at home, and because it was just two, it was quiet. I popped a question like, "Hey, babe, I need to ask you something. It may or may not lead to something, but I noticed that you're acting this way. Is it because something happened in your childhood?" And that's when she kind of had a realization. It brought back that, I guess, that moment, but she felt safe enough to disclose it to me. And I held that space. I told her I'm sorry on that happened to her, and I'm here to help her through it all and everything. So that was the moment where she disclosed that to me. And again, that was years into our relationship. So it wasn't just, first date we disclosed everything. It was trust built over the years.
Right. Right. I think back on my marriage, and a lot of the deeper stuff came out when I was triggered, right?
Mm,
Like something would happen, I would get triggered, I would isolate, I would withdraw, I would go back to my own coping mechanisms of hiding, of being scared, of being in fight or flight, whatever it was. And then he would hold space, and then eventually I would be able to sort through what that trigger was, why it happened, right? And then we would have a conversation. But it never happened beforehand, right? Like we
mm,
can keep those things from happening if we just learn to communicate, and we just learn to be able to see each other for who they are. And when you've made this decision to spend your life with them, you might as well get to know them, right? I think that's
exactly.
the other
Yeah.
thing, is like so many of us think we know somebody, and then we marry them and we're like, who are you? You do that with your toothpaste? You leave your socks where? Like, and you're like, you don't, you understand what I mean, though? We don't
Hmm.
It
know
still
our partner.
happens. Yeah, like it still happens to me where and I don't see it as a bad thing. It's just a whole like I talk about just 2 years ago he started being a wrestling fan. I had no idea he was interested. Like we had been together 10 years and I was like, where did this come from? I'm not a wrestling fan, like I could care less. And he came and I was like, at first I was like, okay, this is strange, like it's just coming out. And he had been a wrestling fan before, he just stopped, right? But then I saw it as an opportunity to kind of connect in a way like, okay, this is something new that we can like start doing together, right? Um, so when those things come out, I feel like in a marriage, like people see it as it's something bad. Oh, they're different now. They're not the same person I fell in love with. Well, I mean, I literally like just re-fell in love with like now a wrestling fan. Right?
Yeah.
Like I see we went to a wrestling match and the whole time, Martha, instead of recording the show, I was recording my husband.
I
Because
love
and I'm gonna
that.
cry because I could see like the little boy in him
Yeah.
excited and having fun and like creating these memories and they were now being shared with me.
Thank you for watching Prospera TV Network. We hope you're enjoying the show. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Oh, I love
Something that
that.
he never did as a child, like little Moises was like at 31, 32 years old, like he is now like excited and like acting
Yeah.
like a child. And women would be like, oh, you're being so childish. And I was loving the moment. And my whole videos are of him.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't
Yeah.
even know where we're at because I was just recording his expressions, his face, his
Wow. I love
emotions,
that.
and it was so exciting.
Yeah.
And I loved every part of it. And I feel like we need to start seeing those things instead of like, just being like, oh, you've changed.
Yeah.
Why is that a bad thing?
Right, right. I was literally going to say, let us rewind, because you said something really important, then you repeated it. So thank you. When we change, right? You say, oh, well, you've changed. Well, I want to be with someone that's constantly changing.
Exactly.
I want to continuously change and grow and elevate, and right, like I don't want to be the same today, tomorrow, or forever, right? Like I want to continue to grow. And so I need to be with somebody that wants to grow, wants to learn, wants to excel, wants to elevate, right? And that was one of the things that ended my marriage, is because I was on this sky trajectory, right? Like after when I was going through my healing journey, God just like took the car and was like, all right, if you are dedicated to this, we're going up. Like we have things to do and get out of your own way. Like we got places to go. And my husband was like, well, where do I even fit in anymore? Right. Because he was so used to the broken Martha that needed the support, needed to be coddled, and I didn't know how to take him on the ride with me, right? Because he didn't know this Martha and he wasn't attracted to this Martha, right? Like, because I became a strong, independent woman and he was used to the brokenness that I was. And so I outgrew him, right? And when I recognized that, part of me was really sad because I had to go on this healing journey. I didn't want to be broken for the rest of my life. I didn't want to be stuck in that pain, in that trauma, in that agony, right? And so I had to, but I lost my husband over it, right? But God had other plans. I know that now, right? Like when I left him, he found himself through me leaving him. And so it's become a blessing for both of us. He's remarried, has his own children. Like he had to rebuild a life because I got out of his way and I had to make my own way. Right. And so everything works for the good. Right. But doesn't mean it's not without extreme pain. And so that's the elevating. I want to change. And I know that you guys too. And what fun to do it together, to push each other, to challenge each other, to hold each other accountable. So that seems like a big blessing.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where throughout our relationship, it's never, sometimes it is together that we're growing, right? Like right now with business. But there was moments where I was the one kind of amped up and ready to grow and things like that, and she wasn't. And there's been the opposite where I'm like, I'm tired. And she's like, no, let's go, let's go, let's go. So it's I think I heard Matthew McConaughey say this is you have to pull each other, not push each other, because pushing it can be seen as criticizing, like you're not good enough for me, so I'm pushing you to be good enough for me.
Right.
But if you pull, you attract the person to you. You attract the person to come along with you. And that's what I've done with her. Like ever since we started a relationship is I'm going this way and you can come with, or at least that's
or you can
at the
come with.
beginning.
You can come with, or you can come with. That's your only option.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think like the difference is that he was never again, like he said, pushy. So for example, like if he's listening to a podcast and he's growing and he would send them to me. He wouldn't be like, oh, listen to this, or like he'd be like, oh, like this podcast is about this and it's pretty cool. And then it would trigger like curiosity, and I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll listen to it. And then I would. And then I would start being like, oh, this is awesome. Like, let's go. So it was always just kind of sharing little things. Like when I started building my relationship with God, I was never like trying to force him, right? I was never like, hey, like I'm building this relationship with God. I need you to do the same. It was more of like, you know what, I'm gonna do this because I really need it. This is what I'm listening to so that and like stuff like that. And then he would join too. So it's kind of just like kind of sharing what we're doing. And then the other person like automatically just like has this interest, and we kind of hype it up a little bit for each other. And it's like, oh, that sounds fun, or that sounds cool, you know?
So Moises, you did not know God going into this marriage?
I did. I grew up Catholic and we're still Catholic to this day. However, it was one of those things where I think my view of him was very distorted based on my own understanding and maybe sometimes how things were explained to me about who God is. And funnily enough, because of COVID, I kind of accepted God and surrendered to him in 2021 outside of church. And it was just through the growth of going, healing myself, healing my inner child, all the things that I went through, and the pain that I didn't know I was carrying, and it led me to surrendering to God and him showing me like, hey, now that you're through this, I need you to go ahead and pass along the message. And and it took some time to get to what it is now, our mission, but throughout it, I learned so much, and it's all because of him and for him. And yeah, it's a thing that I see it as a calling for whatever it is, whether it's monetary value that we get or not, it doesn't matter. It's just, I know that God put it in our hearts. And because we have the experience to go ahead and do so, I know that he trusts us with that calling. And it's
Right.
our mission to go ahead and accomplish it.
Yeah. Something that really struck me when I heard the two of you talking at Surrender to Rise was that both of you come from broken homes. Both of you came into this relationship without good examples of what marriage should look like, or could look like, not should, but could look like, right? The possibilities. But yet you've learned so much coming together, putting God first, understanding the growth potential, all of those things, right? But what struck me was your children will never have to say, I grew up in a broken home, that I grew up without my dad, that I grew up without my mom, right? Like, you're ending the generational curse, both of you, because of this choice, because of this mission that God's put on your heart. And that, y'all, is how the world changes. That's how we create impact, right? That's how we do it, is by ending the generational curses that we can control, that we decide, no, I'm not going to pass this on, even though it happened to me. I'm never going to allow my children to have to go through this, for the things that we can control, right? And that, yeah, y'all, that's impact. That's powerful. And that's what you're doing. How does that feel?
Yeah, and it's not even just like our three girls, because I feel like, because my son, obviously he came from my previous relationship, right? And he went through that, through the same thing as I did. But now, like, he sees a healthy relationship, right? So our girls, they know mommy and daddy love each other. They know that, yeah, like, we argue and stuff, but it's never like unhealthy. Like, they're never afraid, they're never scared, right? My son, it took him a while to understand that him and his dad and I couldn't be together, but that this is what a healthy relationship looks like, right? And it's funny because he spent the night, or he spent a weekend at a family member's house, let's say that. And he was like, oh, like, they were apologizing because they were fighting and they were yelling at each other. And he was like, and I told him, like, oh, it's okay, I'm used to it because I hear it at my aunt's house. And I was like, well, at least it's not at our house, right? Like, he doesn't hear it at our house, and this is where he spends the most time. So that, in a sense, made me feel good, because I'm like, hey, like, he's a teenager now. He soon will start his own relationships, and he now knows what a healthy relationship is. So, like, our daughters will have that, and now our son, who came from also a broken home, like, knows what a healthy relationship is. And that, to me, is like, this is why we do this, not just for the ones that are still together, but even the ones that have separated.
Yeah.
Yeah. For as me, as her husband, and as a father of three little girls, it I see her in my girls sometimes, in the sense that they will not have to run to dads because they don't feel safe with mom. Or even when they're with dad, they're like moving out as soon as possible because they don't know where to go. They know that they don't feel safe with mom, but they don't also feel safe with dad. So they're not moving out as soon as possible and getting into so many things that because of the circumstances that she ended up in. And it's kind of like saving my daughter's lives and their innocence, and kind of allowing them to develop how God intended them to develop, and let them know, like, hey, relationships are not something that you play with. It's not a game of cutesy and things like that. No, you're building each other. So just know that whenever you bring a man to the house, there's gonna be some high standards to meet. Because in the sense is, I need to trust you enough that you're going to take care of my girls the way that I took care of them, and even better.
Yeah.
because that's what I taught them.
Yeah.
And anything less, they will feel that gap.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
yeah, it can lead to certain stuff. Yeah.
Right. Understanding their worth, right? As women, but also as men, you know, as a trauma coach, I talk about worth all the time because so many of us go through our whole lives without knowing we are worthy of who we are, right? We are worthy of the best. We are right. And so we attract what we are. And if we don't feel worthy, we're going to attract people that also feel unworthy. And then we're
Mhm.
like, well, why did this not work again? Right? Because we attract what we are. And that's why everything that we do, say, think is what we create. And you have to be really careful with that and really intentional about that, or else you end up doing that same cycle over and over again. So Moises
100%.
and Bree, there's not enough time. Like I could keep talking to you guys for 2 more hours because I can't believe this time's already up. But before I let you guys go, I always ask all of my guests the same question to end the episode. And that is, what does it mean for you guys to let your glory shine?
Answer that or
You go ahead.
um, is to allow people to see what a real relationship is, and for us to be able to disclose it. I'm much of a protector, so sometimes like posting online and social media and things like that, it's like, what are we getting ourselves into? Yes, because people have opinions, right?
Yeah.
And we can take it a certain way, but it came to the conclusion where like, hey, the impact that we have is worth that risk,
Yeah.
is worth having that transformational change because it benefits everybody, not just us. And selfishly also, we might be talking to the parents of our future daughters' husbands. And we're like,
Exactly.
hey, well, you need to fix your relationship so that your kid can go ahead and grow up in a healthy household, and they might meet my daughters in the future. And because of that, hey, they
Mm-hmm.
have a healthy relationship too.
Absolutely. You've taken it on as a responsibility, right? When we truly have that understanding of our mission, of our purpose, and we're in alignment with that, it becomes a responsibility, sometimes heavy, right? To
Yep.
shoulder and heavy to,
Heavy as the crown. Yep.
yes, yes. Y'all, thank you so much for being here. I have been blessed over this last 30 minutes, just like I was when we got to meet face to face at Surrender to Rise. I can't wait to get to follow and see what you guys are doing and the podcast. We'll put your podcast information in the show notes, so that they can, our audience can find you as well. And I just want to say thank you for your time, and I can't wait to see you in person very soon. Let glory shine.
Let glory shine. From the ashes I rise. Every scar a story, every tear baptized. This is my freedom, this is my climb. Let glory shine, it's the power inside. This is your Prospera era, where dreams align with grace, abundance flows like rivers. You've stepped into your place. Rise, reign, and remember, you were born to shine. Welcome to your moment, Prospera, it's time.
We hope you enjoyed today's show on Prospera TV network. Make it a point to visit us on YouTube and catch all your favorite shows anytime you want. Interested in hosting a show of your own? Or advertising your business on our network? Contact Elena Rodriguez